Bring the heart.
It's time to get loud.
Let's go! Because this is Betfred Super League.
Bring it on.
Got me here. It took a big chunk out of me. Bleeding. It's bleeding. Oh no, it's bleeding. The thing just ripped my ear off. What do you think?
Hello there, and once again, it's a warm welcome to you all. Thanks for joining in the fun on another Eddie and Stevo, the podcast. Arguably the brightest and best rugby league podcast doing the rounds in 2022. Well, we think it is anyway. And it's sponsored and supported, as always, by the game's major sponsors, Betfred, of course. And as usual, so much to get through this week, so let's get stuck into it right away, because the man himself is waiting for us, as always. Mike Stevenson, of course. Stevo, I thought we'd be reflecting this week on Toulouse's first Super League win, but it was not to be. Harry Smith's last-minute drop goal for Wigan pinched the points. Left poor old Toulouse, I'd imagine, broken-hearted, but what an effort from them.
Yeah, well, I think it showed to a lot of people, especially the clubs that are going to have now to go down to the south of France, that it's not going to be easy meat. Let's face it, you and I were talking over the past 2 or 3 weeks, and we're saying, poor Toulouse, they probably won't win a game, etc. and so forth. But they are really fired up, and they've sent out a warning. Okay, they lost by the drop goal, but they have sent out a warning to anyone who else is going to come down to Toulouse. They're going to have a game on their hands. And I think that was part of a great weekend of rugby league.
It was. Tony Gigot for the Toulouse Olympique side. He apparently was at his brilliant best. His drop goal attempt was charged down late on. And guess what? Wigan go straight up the other end and they got the drop goal from Smith. It's a cruel game, Stevo, isn't it, at times?
Listen, I know that and you know that. And I'm sure that, the fans down in the south of France, at least it gives them some hope. They will attract more and more people to come and see the game. And that's a positive. And talking of which, Catalan, how good is that? What, they had 9 French players playing over the weekend. Now, that just shows you that their development down there is top class.
Very much so. I mean, they came to Warrington with an understrength side. Warrington were virtually at full strength. And boy, what a performance from the Dragons. I mean, you're right. They're building something special again in Perpignan, aren't they?
Well, they certainly are. Look, McNamara, he said for over the past 2-3 years that it will take a bit of time to be able to get into the junior development areas in the south of France. And that was on show. 9 players they didn't have available? 4 of the top stars did not start the game, absolutely blitzed them.
They did. The Catalan without a complete first-choice front row. No Sam Tompkins, of course. Fuad Yaha was warming up. He cried off with a hamstring strain in the warm-up. They haven't beaten Warrington at Warrington in over a decade. Well, they have now, and it's no second-season syndrome down there by the looks of things.
No, well, we all expected it. We all said that perhaps, that it's what Hull Kingston Rovers are going through at the same point in time. And we expected them to be a dip, but not against Warrington. They were superb. It showed that they can blend a team together. Now, Powell, the coach of Warrington, he was more than just upset. He thought it was one of the worst performances in regards to effort from any team that is coached. Now, that is a big blast to the players, and they'll have to pick up the ball and run a little bit quicker than they did against Catalan.
Definitely. I mean, his pace was a study all the way through the match. He was really really disappointed. And of course, next up for Warrington, they travel to St Helens this weekend. Do you know something? It would be just like Warrington to go to St Helens and put up a show and actually come away with the points. You never know.
I'm taking a big, deep breath there, Eddie.
I noticed that.
I would find that, well, very surprising if they do. I mean, look, when your coach gives you a blast, they will all pull together and say, yeah, we weren't at our best. Because if they're not at their best, St. Helens will just rip them apart. They cannot afford to play St. Helens and not get stuck in the opening 15, 20 minutes. If they allow Saints to get that ball control and get that offensive going, especially down the middle with the big forwards, the St. Helens three quarters will just rip them apart. And Powell knows that. And I'm sure that even whilst we're doing this podcast, he will have them all in that dressing room and saying it was not good enough. And good on him.
Yeah, it wasn't acceptable. A lot of disappointed Warrington supporters around here, as you can imagine. And, of course, while Warrington were going down badly, St Helens, who went to Hull Kingston Rovers, it looked like a tricky appointment for them, but flipping heck, Stevo, they blew Hull KR away 42 points to 8.
Yeah, as you say, second season syndrome about regard to the Rovers. But look, I've been saying it, and I'm not changing my mind. It's going to be a good team that beats St Helens this year. Christian Wolf has just got them ticking over. Oh, just unbelievable. And also, he's another coach that's bringing in good young players into the scheme of things. He knows the importance of having to, shall we say, replace some of the older players over the next couple of seasons. And that's why they've been so successful, because they can do that.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Now, I just want to go back to Wigan for a moment, because they are spending a full week in the sunshine of the south of France because they have a fairly important match against the Catalan Dragons in Perpignan on Saturday afternoon. But you know what? I can see somebody down there in London getting on the phone to one of these cheap airlines and booking a flight. I can see you down there before long. You know, the wine is calling, the French food is calling, and now Toulouse and Catalan playing in successive weeks. You'll be off soon. I can see it coming.
Well, there's an opportunity, and if I can get a cheap flight, Eddie, you know, I'm a bit strict with my wallet. You've never seen it, that's for sure.
Correct.
I think the biggest thing about it, I think it's a damn good idea that they've been arranged so that one team can stay down in the south of France when they play both the French sides. I think that's a good idea. But sometimes it can be a bad idea because, it's very, very pleasant down there, as you've mentioned. A little bit of sunshine on the back, but you never know. It could affect them. No, I think the new coach is doing a damn fine job. And I suppose in many ways, a lot of people were thinking that they've got to show up against Catalan, especially after the way that Catalan just absolutely pushed Warrington all over the place. They probably won't find it as easy against a Wigan side. But it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
It will. Well, Wigan and Saints, of course, top of the table. They are unbeaten with 8 points apiece from 4 games. Huddersfield now, Stevo, they're third in the table. It was a notable win for them and Ian Watson, coach up against his former club. Massive win against Salford for them. 34 points to 2. You actually tipped Huddersfield to do something this year, didn't you? Started these podcasts.
Yeah, look, I've got a lot of faith in Ian Watson as a coach. And in his first season with the Giants, a lot of people said, well, we expected a little bit more. And sometimes it takes a while to bed into a new side. And he has developed them to such an extent. They are playing out of the skin. It's something that I like to watch because they're adventurous. And Watson, when he was at Salford, he did exactly the same thing. They had good success there. And it was a smart move by the Giants to say, well, come over and change our attitude. And boy, hadn't they? 34-2. Though it was surprising. the Salford coach, they kicked a goal and were leading 2-0, and he said he wasn't too unhappy about their performance. Well, at 34-2, I wonder what will make him unhappy.
Well, I think he might have changed his mind by now. But the players that are catching the eye at Huddersfield, Lollahea and Will Price. This young Will Price, he's getting rave reviews. He's being, of course, allegedly touted by the Australian clubs. How dare they, Stevo, touting for talent? But I mean, Will Price, he is absolutely fantastic at the moment. What a future this young man has got.
And it's great to have so many young kids coming through.
Relief and revenge, maybe, for Castleford's Lee Radford. What a sweet win against his former employer's Hull. Again, with a bit of a patched up side because of injury and suspension. And only settled by a Gareth O'Brien drop goal. You must be having the time of your life when we're talking about drop goals all the time.
Why not? They're important.
They are.
Hey, a lot of fans used to say to me, "Oh, we should stop going on and on and on about that drop goal." Well, maybe the Wigan fans might be happy this last weekend. They won't be complaining about the drop goal, will they? Look, no. It's an important facet of our game. And a lot of people can't understand that.
Well, it is an important facet. And as I say, the Gareth O'Brien drop goal 3 minutes from time just settled the nerves. What an emotional win for Lee, though. You know, sacked. And I think, and still believe this, so cruelly sacked in front of the live television audience in 2020. He'll be a happy man right now. And we'll hope that he'll be able to build on this victory.
I think Mr. Radford will be enjoying a few beers this week.
Indeed. Hull, Brett Hodgson, he said his men, they didn't really show up with the right attitude. I find that hard to believe against their former coach.
Yeah, well, I suppose he's probably looking for answers that perhaps were not on show. I think you've got to look at all the facets of being a coach. We've already discussed how Powell said that, it's blasted his players. Sometimes you've got to do that. Sometimes you can't just say, well, everything's going sweet, because it isn't. And getting back to Powell, I liked his idea of the fact that he said, look, I know we've had 3 wins, and we went into this game pretty confident, right, against Catalan. But he's always said over those 3 games, he said, we haven't played the best rugby league football that I'm sure we can get. And that's a positive. And he's every right to give him a blast. And, I'm sure that the whole coach will be doing just the same.
Indeed. Relief then for Lee Radford and Castleford. Same, I think, should be said about Richard Agar. They went to Wakefield, which, again, usually is always a tricky place for Leeds to go. But they went there with all guns blazing. They were 30 points to 0 up at half-time. Wakefield were awful in that first half. They rallied a bit in the second half. But, Leeds off the mark, and Richard Agar will be a relieved man. Do you think it's a bit unfair, Stevo, for people like Lee Radford, people like Sylvain Hules in the south of France, people like any coach that is suffering at the start of the season after only 4 games? Do you think it's unfair we should put them under such pressure? I don't mean we, the royal we, I mean the game. Richard Agar under pressure, no question, at Leeds before last week.
Well, Eddie, it was you that brought it up.
Well, he admitted he was.
Yeah,
but he was under pressure.
What did I say? I said the 3 losses were against 3 of the top sides. You've got to look into that and say, well, these are the 3 sides that we've lost against, but we'll be up there fighting to get to the grand final. And I said it was only a matter of time that when it comes around to it, it was a good win. 34-18. Wakefield have got some very good players, but they just looked a little bit lost in that first 40 minutes. They came back, but it was too late.
They did come back, but it was too late. Ash Handley, he really showed Sean Wayne that maybe he should be in the England 30-man squad, which we're going to come on to in a moment, because Sean was in the crowd at Wakefield and Ash Handley came up with a hat-trick, didn't he?
Yeah, and I thought it was a nice dig the way that that the coach Richard Agar said. Well, he wanted to prove a point, and proving the point, Eddie, is what Sean Wayne wants. It's as simple as that. Because when he takes on Ellery Hanley's All Stars, the All Stars should be selecting those players that are on the fringe. And I'd be very surprised if Ellery Hanley does not pick those players, the likes of Connor. We spoke about Connor, what a great player he is, what a tough player he is. And that's what we need, especially when it comes to internationals and World Cup. And I'd be surprised if Hanley did not pick those type of players who have just missed out on his 30-man squad.
Yeah, I just wonder that too, whether Ellery will give some of them a chance to prove a point to Sean Wayne. What about Ellery's appointment as the combined nations All-Stars against England in this World Cup warm-up at Warrington in June? He's got Sean Wayne against him. Sean has said the match for him is win or bust. He's really passionate about the task. And I suppose in many ways Sean needs a victory. But Ellery is the man who's been chosen. Now, if you look at Ellery's record, and he's charismatic, there is no question about that. But in terms of coaching, I don't think he's coached for 14 years since he had a spell at Doncaster in 2008. Is he there to coach this team, or is he there to promote this match?
You forgot one thing. They've decided on Ellery Hanley because he knows the opposition coach. He's an old pal of Sean Wayne. And I reckon that Sean Wayne may have had some influence by saying, look, I want you to bring one of the best stars of the past to the forefront to coach the Combined Nations All-Stars, so that he realizes that it will be a hard, tough game. You don't want to run away. It's not a practice game. This has got to be full on. This is like the trial. Remember in the olden days, he used to have the possibles and maybe the regulars or whatever. Well, this is it. This is his only chance. And it will be rough and tough. And so it should be. Because it's not going to be easy when the World Cup comes round, is it?
No, not at all. And Ellery is a deep thinker about the game. I was privileged enough to sit next to him at the grand final last year, and he still thinks passionately, he still thinks deeply about the game. He coached, of course, Great Britain himself in 1994 for the Ashes against Australia. He coached St Helens 5 years later and got them to and won the grand final before he left the following season. He's been a consultant with Castleford, coach of Doncaster, got them to promotion, and he's back. He's back in the game, and I think it's a masterstroke that, post it down as Ellery versus Sean Wayne. I think it'll go down a bomb. We might actually get a few people to the ground.
I think there should be a good crowd there because it's going to be the last opportunity, really, to get involved and forgive Sean Wayne the ability to address, who can handle the pressure. Sometimes when you go into the international field, it's a little bit higher than what you get, say, in Super League or whatever. Because the nerves can come into it. Young kids can say, am I going to do okay? Will I just hang back a little bit, or will I go to the fore? And I'm sure, I might be wrong, but I am sure that Sean Wayne has applied a bit of pressure and said, I want the opposition coach to be someone like Ellery Hanley. Because he knows Ellery Hanley will say to the boys, give it to them. That's what we need. I think it's a masterstroke. I'm not sure whether I'm right, but it wouldn't surprise me if Sean Wayne has just applied a little bit of pressure and said he's the man that should coach. I mean, let's face it. He applied the pressure for Tim Sheen's last year, and they lost to Tim Sheen's All-Stars.
They did. 24-22, the All-Stars won, and certainly Sean is wanting to get England ready for October. This 30-man squad that he's named, Stevo, for this match. 7 new faces. They'll meet up next week, actually, for the first get-together. Jack Wellesby, Lewis Dodd, the 2 youngsters at St Helens, fantastic. Kai Pearce-Paul of Wigan, fantastic. Harry Newman of Leeds, exactly the same. Jake Wardle of Huddersfield, Matty Lees, Liam Marshall. They complete the uncapped newcomers. Anyone else that you would have liked to have seen in Sean's squad who's not there?
I think all you have to do, Eddie, is look at those players that have missed out. Forget about the ones that he's selected. He wants to lay and say, right, I've put the glove down. I'm going to take you as a challenge. You've got to show to me that I was wrong in not selecting you in the 30-man squad. And he's made it quite clear, ever since he took on the job, that just because you miss out on the squad doesn't mean to say that you won't play in the World Cup for England. He's made it absolutely clear. And this is going to be a humdinger. This should have a huge crowd because this is going to be one of the best games of the season.
Well, I personally would, and I agree with you, by the way. I think it'll be a cracking contest.
What
yeah,
was
I do.
that?
I agree. I must have taken the tablet this morning. Will Price for me, Jake Connor, Widdup maybe, Gareth Widdup, Ash Handley with the tries against Wakefield in front of Sean on Thursday. Mike McMeekin at the minute, ripping it up as a prop forward for the Catalan Dragons just now.
Yeah.
But you're right, he has said the door is open to everybody. I wonder if Ellery will pick any of these, because Tim Sheen's, I think I'm right in saying he picked McGilvery and Connor in his All-Stars team last year. There's no reason why he shouldn't pick some of these England players who are on the sidelines.
Eddie, I don't think you're listening. I'm sure that the two coaches for this game have got their heads together and said, in my opinion, there's no point in dragging someone out for the All-Stars that are not really in the running at international level. So it's laid down the gauntlet. I've said that. It's got to get that. And the combination of the two coaches will give them what they want. I mean, they're good mates. You know, Sean and Ellery, they've been good mates. They know each other. And why not? Why not bring this sort of situation to a head where it's going to be bang, bang, bang? This is going to be a tough game. And why not? This is 80 minutes where you can make sure that you're going to play in a World Cup.
Probably that and the pre-World Cup warm-up, the only chance that these players have got to actually rubber stamp their name in Wayne's 17 for the opening match of the World Cup in October. And talking of October and the World Cup, that was named last week as the deadline when the realignment of the game, Super League and the RFL coming back together again, will finally be sorted out. Now, this has been it's been like the Forsyth saga, this. I don't suppose so many of our younger listeners will know what on earth I'm talking about when I say the Forsyth saga.
Hey, listen. A lot of if the younger people are listening to this podcast, they don't even know who you and I are. So forget about the Forsyth saga.
That's true.
Dear me.
Well, okay. Well, it's been a longer running soap opera than Coronation Street. Oh, blimey, they don't even know who they are. But to be serious for a minute, they are going to form a new joint venture company to handle all of the game's commercial interests, including media rights and sponsorship. And it is reported that IMG could be brought on board so that new strategic partners, to handle all of that. IMG has got huge contacts globally, already involved with several other sporting bodies. This looks, providing it comes together, this looks like a really, really good move.
Certainly does. I've got fingers crossed, toes crossed, because we need to follow in the footsteps of other sports that have done exactly that. Given the opportunity and selecting a committee, a board, call it whatever they want, that is not associated with any of the Super League clubs. That is the best thing that has happened in rugby league in this country for many, many a day. There is no self-interest. The only interest is success, and that means getting more money into our game so that we can increase the value of our game and attract more and more people to play the game, junior level, right the way across the board. I am so pleased that common sense has finally been achieved. Instead of having two governing bodies, we now only have one. And the clubs will run the game. Someone else will run the finance. Couldn't be better.
Well, we're talking about finance, and hopefully the coffers will be, boosted by whatever deal they can come up with in the future. You only need to look to Australia, Stevo, to realise how important the cash is, their multi-million-dollar TV deal. And it all starts in the NRL this weekend, doesn't it?
It sure does. And I remember 3 weeks ago, and you said, these warm-up games will be classic and all that sort of thing. It's just a trial out. Now, last week, it wasn't a trial out. It was virtually taken very serious. All the clubs put in their best teams. It's what they do. They have 2 games where they build, try the youngsters, see what they can achieve. And then when it comes to week before the kickoff, they then get involved. I can't wait. Look, we all know the quality over there. I'm hoping that my old club, Penrith, will retain the trophy, but it won't be easy. It never is easy to retain the trophy.
No, it is not down there. It seems to be a little easier up here with the 3-peats that we've had for Leeds and the Saints in recent times. But Penrith start against Manly on Thursday, one of 3 games live on Sky Sports. Friday, they've got Brisbane and Souths. Saturday, Wests against Melbourne. It's a delight. There is a massive amount of rugby league on the telly this weekend.
Well, I've got a few bottles of wine chilling, Eddie, and I will just relax and watch it. Even at times, I still record it because I like to watch it live, and then I like to watch the recording and sort of try to analyse which team is doing this and which team is doing that. And I would imagine, and it would surprise me, if all the coaches in this country, it doesn't matter what league you're playing in, should be watching all these games. They should be trying to pick out and learn something from it. Even junior development teams, even amateur teams. The best way to learn about the game is to watch the stars. And let's face it, it's just stardom out in Australia.
And it is the Premier League of Australian sports. I am slightly concerned for you, though, I must confess. I've just looked at the fixture list, and you're getting the wine chilled. Have you got a problem? Have you got a problem that you need to tell us about?
Did you not hear that I record them as well?
You're backtracking now.
Oh, dear me. Anyway, what's wrong with a sniffer in the morning?
Oh, little heart starter. Yeah, exactly.
Just to get yourself going. But talking of news down in Australia, it's I know most people would have read it. Perhaps is that Sam Burgess has been given a heavy fine and a lengthy NRL suspension from all the antics that over the past 2 years, I think everyone has been involved, and they know sort of the Sam Burgess saga, as we call it. He's been fined $30,000, 12 weeks suspension, which of course is already done, and following the breaches in the NRL rules. South Sydney, the club he was playing with, has also been fined $20,000, mainly for not notifying the NRL Integrity and Compliance Unit over incidents that included the former rugby league star. The one good thing is that the 33-year-old is now capable of going to coach at top level anywhere in Australia. At the moment, he's the coach of the Mid-North Coast Orara Valley Axemen, and evidently my reports are he's doing a fine job there. And it just makes me wonder, Eddie, will one of the Super League clubs out there, I don't know, the New South Wales Rugby League, will they offer him a contract to come into the top level?
Do you think they will?
Just? I've no idea, Eddie, because there's a lot of things going on negative about Sam. There's a lot of things going in positive. So I've got no idea. But South Sydney, as I say, been fined 20,000 for not notifying those people that run the game. Maybe it wouldn't be a good idea to bring him back into the club itself. But look, he's a great bloke. I know Sam very, very well indeed. He was born in my old town, Dewsbury.
He's a lovely lad.
And I wish him all the best. And I do hope that eventually that one of the NRL clubs will say, come on board. I mean, he was assistant coach to Bennett at South Sydney in the time when, of course, he had to retire because of the shoulder injury. And look, this lad has got a lot to offer, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
And another thing, we talk about the explosion of the women's rugby league in this country, Eddie, but it's gaining pace down in Australia. But we've had one bad incident. St. George Illawarra women's team, a winger, Madison Bartlett, has been referred to the officials for allegedly biting an opponent.
Well, let's hope there's no biting. Let's hope there's no major incidents this weekend, because we're going to get square eyes, Stevo. You've already got the wine on ice ready for what's to come. There are those 3 NRL matches from Australia, plus 4 Super League games on Sky this weekend. It's about time that the boys on Sky reinvented our slogan, the Rugby League Channel. After all the brouhaha about Channel 4's arrival on the scene this year, come on, Sky, fly the flag again.
I agree. I can't believe it.
That's 1-1 then this week. 2 agreements, 1-1. Brilliant. Well, look, just take it easy on the wine while you're watching these early morning kickoffs from Australia. Make sure you're there next week, and we'll see what on earth transpires over this next weekend. Always good to catch up with the old boy. See you next week.
Take care.